Let's talk about inflation. You know, this whole thing with inflation that everybody was telling us is bad, but it's not that bad. Remember when they were saying it's actually 18%, and the White House would correct it and says, no, it's not 18%. It's actually this. It's actually that. Well, MarketWatch does a story titled True Inflation May Have Peaked in Late 2022 at 18% and still hovers around 8%. A study led by Margin Bolhuiz from the International Money Fund and Harvard University researchers Judd Kramer, Carl Oskar Schultz, and Lawrence Summers challenges the notion that consumers' pessimism is irrational, arguing that true inflation, if measured accurately, would justify consumer gloominess. The study titled The Cost of Money is Part of the Cost of Living highlights the discrepancy between consumer sentiment and consumer price index CPI, pointing out that the CPI fails to fully incorporate rising borrowing costs, including interest rates on credit cards, car loans, and mortgages. By accounting for increased borrowing costs, the researchers estimate that the true inflation would have peaked at 18% in November of 2022 and still hovers at around 8%, contrasting sharp with CPI reported figures. Tom.
So let's talk about inflation real quick. When our government measures inflation, they measure it and they leave things out of the full consumer experience. So, Pat, what if I did this? I'm going to determine the average height of everyone in your household. Okay. But I'm going to leave out everyone under the age of 12. So between you and Jen, the average height of someone in your household is about 6 foot. You say, well, that's not right.
Online, Pat is 5'6", so.
No. You see where I'm going here? But They say, well, we don't count kids in this study. We don't count kids. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the way the government measures inflation. And what Lawrence Summers, by the way, Larry frickin' Summers is Lawrence Summers. And this was done by Harvard University, a liberal think tank, pointing out this.
And he was the former president of Harvard, I believe.
Correct.
Also, he was a chairman of the Fed, or he was a secretary of Treasury.
And longtime mentor to Sheryl Sandberg, who credits him with a lot in her career and her development. So here's what they did.
Interesting.
They went out there and they say, hey, when the price of something goes up, that affects the consumer. What about the price of money? Isn't the price of money also inflation? So if interest rates go up, that's the price of money. So it's not just at the car. And let's look at things people need and buy, like a house, a mortgage, or a car. So it's not just that the car was 20% more expensive. Remember chip shortage, Vinny?
Yep.
And cars are expensive. That's inflation on the price of the car. But what if there's also inflation on the interest you pay on the car? So they're pointing out correctly, hey guys, inflation was freaking crazy. It was 18%. It's still 8%. And the big line of the story is, hey, you know what? Consumer pessimism is not irrational. It's very rational. Consumers are feeling pinched and they're upset. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a research done by Harvard University, and they're right. Inflation on money should be counted also in inflation, and not just because people get up credit cards and that's one thing. People doing something like, buying a house or buying a car, very reasonable things. The inflation on the price of money.
It's like the weird thing with this is the whole thing that's going on right now, Tom, is the following. When the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and middle class gets smaller. Okay, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and middle class gets smaller. Rob, can you type in middle class, history of middle class population in the U.S. declining, something like that? You will see what's happened to the middle class of U.S. over the years. If you just find a chart, if you can... look at that right there. Shares of adults in U.S. middle class has decreased considerably since 1971. 1971, the upper income, 14%. Now it's 21%. Lower income was 25%. Now it's 29%. Look at middle income. We used to have 61% of America was in a middle income category. Doing okay. Now it's 50%. What does this mean? So we go to dinner, okay? And these dumb policies, when they make money cheaper, it makes the rich richer. So 3 people go to dinner together, the low income, the middle income, the upper income. And all of a sudden, the guy with the upper income is saying, yeah, let's get 24 oysters. Where is it from? Australia? Awesome. Can we have some foie gras? And let's get some bone marrow. And let's get some of that steak you got from Australia that's only drinks beer every day and listens to Mozart and gets massages every day. It's all good. And you want to bring some of that Kobe, bring it. Perfect. Let's go ahead and have that as well. Thank you. Do you have any sea urchin? We'll take that as well. Awesome. So the upper income guy's like, oh, dude, I can't wait to freaking have this food. This is delish. The middle income guy's like, dude, I hope he's ordering for himself. I'm not sharing all this stuff. The lower income guy.
Suicidal.
No, you know what the lower income guy is saying? Yeah, he's going to pay for it because he's a rich guy. I'm not paying for it. So, but there's certain people that are going to feel this. You can claim inflation isn't what it is today, and then you can go to stores and see how people are behaving and how people are living. Guess what? It's happening. But you know why it's not being felt? Because the stock market, Dow Jones is doing good. Because Bitcoin is doing good. Because of why? Because freaking the top 1% and the upper income population is getting bigger, and the poor is getting poor, and middle class is getting destroyed based on what? The more money we print, the more we put it into the economy. Historically, we've always known low-income families don't know how to save. Middle class doesn't know how to save. The people at the top, they save and they invest. They keep taking advantage of something called compound interest. And then all of a sudden, one day we're waking up saying, holy shit, what's going on here with middle class? So to me, when all these guys are getting on stage and trying to convince you that the economy is doing great, how's lifestyle going for you? How's it taking care of your wife and kids, your family, your bills, your rent, your food, when you're going shopping, all of that stuff? If you're personally feeling it, then that's exactly what's taking place. If you're like, no, I'm not feeling it. Life is actually very good today. Inflation is actually low. Things are actually very cheap. Egg, bacon, everything I'm buying, milk, everything is cheaper than ever before. Then maybe they're right. They're telling the true story. But you cannot fake what the average voter raising their kids is experiencing. That part you can't lie. And this right here, middle class going to 61 to 50, this is byproduct of terrible policies that benefited the guys who are the people who are sitting there saying, hey, politicians, can I buy you for $164,000? We run a $4 billion restaurant franchising, biggest one in the world. Hey, yes, I'm for sale for $164,800. Fantastic. Thank you for saving us $30 million. Appreciate you. You're awesome. That's what's happening. That's the reality when it